Welcome to this episode of YouTube where I've entitled it Assessing Personalities. This is an ongoing process when pups are developing, looking at the behavioral differences between Grayson and Axel. Grayson, who came into the exhibit a little bit more intimidated, is starting to gain a little bit of dominance, and Axel's actually reverting to a little bit more intimidation around strange things. Still works out well with the adult wolves, but in the medical pen, when we feed the pups each evening, Axel's been having a little bit more anxiety about being held away from the exhibit pack. So that personality difference, Grayson seeks comfort from humans, and the medical enclosure is a comforting thing with food and with human contact. For Axel, the comfort seems to be with the exhibit pack, and so there is a little bit of differences between them as they develop into personalities. And Aiden is showing his leadership in oftentimes hard muzzle bites. This is dominance over Grayson, and again putting him into a subordinate posture while Axel's kind of interacting. That brings Bolt over to do a little bit of defensive guarding about the pup. So Bolt's personality is one of caution towards the pups. In other words, he's quick to come in and intervene if there's some kind of stress, but he's also quick to engage in some of those same social behaviors. Aiden has been showing a little bit more dominance to Denali. Denali, in the absence of Luna, started to really test Aiden quite a bit, and that has since settled down. And one thing you'll notice here is that while Aiden has Denali in a subordinate posture, Bowles doesn't really intervene much, but the pups are starting to take advantage of Denali. So that's one thing that Denali has been observed, chasing the pups a little bit, showing a little bit of anxiety for the pups. And now that Aiden's got the Denali under control, the pups, especially Axel, coming in here on the left, Grayson also coming in a little bit to come in and do some grab bites. And so we see definitely alliances form between personalities, and we also see that this is a male rank order, so there's going to be some relationships. Now, we've been through this before. This is a clip of Shadow Malik when they were about 7 months old, and then there's Mackenzie showing dominance on Lakota. Now, this is a little bit more intense because this is female to female dominance, and one of the reasons why in the past I've talked about captive facilities not managing as many females is because there can be more intensity in dominance rank order. But like I said, the reality is that Grayson, who came into this exhibit very intimidated, a lot of tuck tail responses, is finding comfort. He's finding comfort in vantage points that are higher. He's finding comfort in vantage points that are a little bit out of the ordinary. The rocks within the pond is something that he's getting a tolerance, or he's determining that that's a place where he can kind of seek refuge, and certainly has really limited intimidation about exploring or interacting within the exhibit. So this confidence is still something that we're working on, and we do see, like I said, the main trigger that we see right now is Denali. When Denali approaches, we're going to see a situation where Grayson's going to retreat. And that retreat is typically along the window ledge. So that's what we saw the week of the introduction. We're seeing that again now. So this is an ongoing process, and what we are noticing is that the focus is not as long, and then also that the focus is going back and forth between Axel and Grayson. And as soon as Denali rolls Axel over to subordinate posture, Grayson comes over to assert some dominance. So these are the personalities that are developing. And the other thing we wanted to say is that we did contract with a specialist to provide us some insight. You will see video clips of wolf care staff gaining some techniques and advice from craniosacral therapy practitioner Sandy Pranto, who was hired to give us some insight on Luna, but also to gain some perspective on what might be issues with all wolves, whether aging or young pups such as Grayson, who's having a little bit more anxiety and a little bit more tail tucking, and how that might influence how he feels and certainly how he develops. And so we certainly were pleased that Luna and the pups were open to this type of handling. And as a matter of fact, Grayson just climbed right up on the straw bale, and to this day still waits for his treatment up on the straw bales. One of the techniques we were taught is called an ear stroke, and appears that Grayson was watching us because here he is trying to do the same technique on Denali. So he heard rumor that it makes for calmer wolves, so he thought he would engage a little bit. So this is classic Grayson, utilizing the height of the rocks and the comfort of the wolf care staff to be able to engage or interact with especially something that's so intimidating like Denali. So Grayson is getting better. Every day is better for Grayson. I really am convinced the body work that we're doing is helping him feel more comfortable. Definitely the hands-on work that we're giving him is definitely giving him an advantage when it comes back into the exhibit. So one thing that he's a little bit too relaxed on is this behavior, and I'll just allow you to guess what he's doing here. So with relaxation comes some other behaviors that we have to address. So the biggest thing that I see with Grayson in getting some confidence is his height. Having the ability to climb up on the pump housing, the rocks were a tremendous benefit to the exhibit, not only to help protect the pump housing, but also to give wolves a vantage point. So as we said, the primary work of the workshop was with Luna, and we were fortunate that Luna was willing to allow wolf care staff and our practitioner in to do some hands-on training. One thing that's important to note is that this body work is being done within the context of a workshop, and it shouldn't be just attempted just by watching this video without consulting a veterinarian on what may be some medical issues. We want to make sure that people, again, recognize that this is not attempted to diagnose, prevent, cure, or treat disease, but it is our way of trying to help manage an issue of pain or an issue of discomfort or an issue of tension within an individual animal based on the knowledge that we have about each individual wolf circumstance. So wanted to make that clear again. We will do whatever we can to make sure that Luna and the pups and every wolf under our care has the best care possible. And so we're very pleased with the work that's being done, and as we said, it continues on a daily basis, so you will see clips continually, and if you do watch on the webcam, you'll see us doing techniques to all members of the pack, Denali, Aiden, Bolts, when we get a chance, and obviously the pups. That is a regular routine for us. Keep in mind, we live in a northern climate, so as the temperatures get colder, the body oftentimes needs a little bit more work. Certainly tension from being cold can create an issue, so this is a good thing. This is something that we use on a daily basis, and you can see here Luna moving towards the work. You see her tail response lifting up a little bit. All those years of video in the lesson, she's 4.5 going on 5. You recall that tail was always seemed to be so tight, and so we've definitely seen an improvement in that. And there's a wide variety of staff that are being trained in this, and Luna is very receptive to it. So it's one of those things where standing, lying down, Luna again presents herself and is willing and tolerant to have the work done. Now that doesn't mean she's out of it. She's still focused on this. Is the exhibit pack causing a little bit of distraction here. They're chasing up in the woods, and so she's focused on it. She's alert, but again, she's not obsessing about being separated from them. And this also gives us a chance to really work on her individually. This would not probably happen if she were part of the exhibit pack right now. So at this point, we're seeing as an opportunity while we're assessing the overall dynamics of the exhibit pack, this is a great time to be able to make Luna feel comfortable, and as she feels comfortable, she's going to interact hopefully with a little less defensive behavior. So she's still Luna, still doing what she needs to do. This is actually her caching her meds, not our preference that she decides to take her anti-inflammatory and cache it, but it certainly is a good sign that she is having normal behavioral responses in the absence of some of that stimuli. So Grizzer did get a little bit of body work, only with the staff. Grizzer is a little bit more reserved around strangers, so he received coaching through the fence from the professionals, and the wolf care staff tried to assess some things. You notice a sore spot under near his sternum. We've been kind of monitoring that. He does not want us to touch the base of his sternum, and we had noticed a lump there earlier in the month, and so we really think that there might be something. Again, he's a 12-year-old going on 13. We know that this is the time when things start to happen, so we're doing some work, and we're trained in some lymph node work with Grizzer, and overall just trying to get a physical assessment of where there may be issues, and that is something that is an ongoing thing, but we have to do it on Grizzer's terms. If you push Grizzer too much, he's just going to retreat, and that's happens on windy days, it happens on warm days, and it certainly happens when he's too overwhelmed by too many people. So everything has to be on his terms. Fortunately for Grizzer, fall is in the air, temperatures are cooling, he's got a full winter coat, he's in good body weight coming into the winter, but we want to always be mindful of the fact that, again, he is 12 going on 13. He's very alert for this age. We have no problems with him being able to be aware of the site, and we are obviously talking about opportunities for him to interact with Luna, especially if it turns out that the decision is not to include Luna into the pack. And again, that decision has not been made. We are doing assessments of everyone's physical and personal interactions and how those behaviors are interacting, the dynamics of the pack, the dynamics of Luna with the adults, the dynamics through the fence of Luna and Grizzer. All of those things are being addressed. But we know that fall is in the air. We know that the seasons are changing, and we also know that this is a time for wolf behavior to intensify. So as we get ready for winter and drain the ponds and get all of the wolf work ready to get the facility ready, we need to do wolf work to get the wolves ready for winter. So if we are going to make decisions about Luna, they have to come relatively quick. We don't make decisions and move wolves around in the height of the dominant season, which is that January and February time frame. That's when, even for spayed and neutered wolves, the hormones do intensify, and so we are going to be doing some hands-on work with every individual, and we'll keep you posted on what we find out. But at this point, we know that Grizzer likes social contact. He's been good with Tina through the fence, and Tina's just a tremendous dog to put up with these wolves. But we know that Grizzer is willing to engage in social behavior, and so that's part of his personality trait. So that's it for this week's YouTube, and we will keep you posted as we make decisions, and we continue to work towards a good solution for all members of our Ambassador Wolves.